Hello, everybody. My name is Madhusha Gamaj, and this is a brief overview of my final project for CSCI-E7, Introduction to Computer Science with Python, which I took in fall of 2022. So originally, I set out to build a version of the game Paratrooper, and this was a game I used to love playing as a kid. It ran on a 8-bit XT8088 PC, if I remember correctly. And the goal of this game was to protect the gun base from paratroopers jumping from planes who would attack the base if allowed to reach the ground. Pretty simple premise, but it was a ton of fun to play. So as I started building out the game mechanics, I decided to deviate from my original idea of replicating this game Paratrooper. And instead, I pivoted to building a medieval edition of Space Invaders instead. I had to learn how to build a game using Pygame, and there were other, you know, things related to game mechanics that I had to learn and master in order to sort of get the game mechanics of paratroopers to work correctly. So, for example, I did not have to build logic for handling horizontally moving planes or helicopters that spawn enemies, which then move vertically from the point of origin and having to account for all the enemies moving horizontally once they reach the ground. The game mechanics was much simpler in building out Space Invaders, I thought, and it actually was. And the enemies in Space Invaders simply just move vertically, one spawn at the top of the screen, and when they reach the ground, the game ends. So this decision to pivot helped me keep the scope of the project more achievable within the given time constraints. Um, so how did I go about building this game? So I used several third-party libraries, Python libraries for this project, namely Pygame, which constitutes the core of how the game was built. This is a foundational library, and then the other two were the math and random libraries. I used several online resources to learn about Pygame and how to approach the process of building a game using this library. Um, and several other online resources that help me accomplish a few things that I will speak about shortly. The most challenging aspect I believe I encountered while building this game was how to get the gun barrel to rotate with the mouse movement, and making the projectile, which is a laser in this game, to shoot out at that corresponding angle in the direction of the gun was pointed at. So after many hours of research online and experimentation, I was able to get it to work properly using some sample code, and that was a great learning experience as well for me to figure out the physics involved in how to accomplish that. Another fun and a bit challenging aspect I learned was how to perform animations of images, or sprites as they're known in the animation or the gaming world. Again, it was quite a bit of research, in figuring it out and how to get it to work. And sample code I found online helped me there again as well. It was very, very helpful. And once the game mechanics were in place, I went on to the basic game mechanics were functional, so I went on to sort of enhance it by adding additional graphics, background graphics, sounds, and adding some level of changing difficulty as the game progresses. So, given this is the first iteration, it's a V1 of the game. It has a few limitations, and there are some future improvement opportunities for the future. Um, so I may address these in a future version if I choose to work on it. So currently does not track high scores, so that would be something that'd be nice to add. Uh, Enemies only move vertically right now, so adding the capability for them to move diagonally with a changing level of difficulty might be another nice add. Adding different types of enemies. So right now there's only a single type, vertically moving. So different types of enemies like bosses, or maybe enemies that have bonus scores attached to them, might be another good addition. Right now the only way to interact with the game is with the mouse. So adding keyboard support with the arrow keys to make it work with arrow keys might be another nice addition. There's only single player mode at the moment, so maybe adding a two-player mode for two people can play would be good. Have to think about how that would work out in this game, but that would be another nice thing to have. And of course, improving the graphics and the sounds that that the current game currently has would be another addition. So in summary, I had a lot of fun working on this game, building it and learning the different ways of doing things in Pygame and working with different classes and libraries and so on. The learning curve, of building a game was greatly reduced because of the foundational stepping stones provided by Pygame. And despite some of the challenges I encountered with some of the game mechanics and animations, it was a great learning experience and an excellent use of my newfound knowledge of Python through this course. So next, I will switch over to showing you a quick walkthrough of the code base and a quick demo of the game in action. So to work on this project, I ended up using PyCharm, the IDE PyCharm, as my development, debugging, and testing environment. So this is the initial layout of the PyCharm IDE. And here on the left, you can see the way I organized the code base, and the additional resources that I needed, such as sounds and the graphical elements. So just to start off here, we have this classes folder, which I use to sort of group all my classes that I used in the game. So there's a class for the bullet object, there's a class for the enemy objects, and handling explosions, or the animations for the explosions, which also I kind of broke out some of that into more granular libraries or helper libraries to animate sprites. So they all live here in the same classes folder. And then of course the player class, which represents the gun object on the screen. I also broke out a few of the more smaller pieces of functionality into helper files. So namely globals for things that I use that are common and not used across the application, like colors, font definitions, and text that I used in the game. Definition of the screen size that's in use, etc. And I also created a separate helper file for managing the sounds that are involved in the game. A helper method for playing background music, shooting, explosions, game over, etc. And there's a generic utility file, a helper file that I created with using definitions for loading all the graphics, for example, or showing the splash screen, redrawing the background, and redrawing the screen again when things have changed, etc. So there's a bunch of little utility functions that I broke it out into this file. And the sounds folder contains all the sounds used in the game. So the background music, explosions, the laser sound, etc. And of course, the sprites folder contains the graphics that the game uses, the different the little alien ship here, and there's a background image that I use here, and there's a picture of the cannon I used, etc., etc. Also, let's see, there's one for the fort. So basically all the little graphical elements are stored and used from here, from the sprites folder. The V environment, this is the virtual environment that Python needs for running the game, and the main driver of the game is this file called game, Very creative naming, but I thought it made sense. So anyway, so this file contains the code that drives the entire game. Loading all the graphics, playing the background music when the game starts, showing the splash logo, etc. And then the main game loop also resides in this file. Um, so essentially, this is the one. This is the file. This is the logic that controls the entire gameplay. Um, by tapping into the different helper classes and the helper files and the other classes that I created and showed to you earlier. Yeah, so it's a bit of a lengthy file, but yeah, this has all the logic that drives the game. Okay, so next I'll show you a quick demo of what the game looks like. So I have the terminal window open here, which I've already set up and got the environment activated, etc. I'm just gonna say Python run game and that's it, folks. Thank you very much.